looking at him lying motionless there on the ground, calm and still in the hole I drilled him into. They finally gave out. My legs, that is. The shakiness finally won out as I fell back, falling on my ass. Still having some trouble trying to breathe, catching my breath in all the chaos, and beginning to draw back the liquid metal that I had used to form the giant steel ball, and the stuff that was filling his lungs. I wanted him unconscious, but I didn't want him dead. Murder's their thing, not mine. As I sat there in all the rubble, the liquid metal forming back to my body, breathing sporadically, trying to calm myself down, and feeling both beat to hell and completely exhausted, physically and mentally, I began to hear something. Clapping. At first it was just a few, but in only a few moments, clapping and cheering was all I could hear. As I looked over to see the massive crowd of people cheering and applauding, yelling and whistling. In the moment, I had almost completely forgot this whole thing was going on in front of a massive crowd of people. I suppose they feel like I put on one hell of a show. At this point, even the police dropping their guns. I was a vigilante. They were supposed to try to catch me, right? But despite that, at the time, the moment being, I just don't think they felt like going against the crowd on this one. Oh man, I thought. Well, this was much more public than I wanted it to be. After all, I may have won the fight, but I got beat to hell doing it, and only managed to pull a victory by the skin of my teeth. Oh shit. And right then it occurred to me, I still needed the symbiotes. How the hell was I gonna collect them in front of all these people? And there's no way that the cops are gonna be able to take these guys in, not with their abilities. Taking their symbiotes seemed to be the only solution, and yet I'm worried about what people will think, how they'll act if they see where their powers come from. It might just generate hate. And then suddenly, there was a flash of purplish light. I looked back to the guy laying on the ground in front of me to see a portal, one of those black voids right behind him. No, I thought, trying to scramble to my feet. Suddenly I saw his body lift off the ground, coated in a blue film of energy, and then get pulled back into the black void. I charged as fast as I could, even sending a stream of liquid metal out in front of me, trying to catch him. Maybe I can hook him. There's no way this guy's getting away. But it was useless. As the stream of metal shot forward towards the black hole that they had sunken him into, it dissipated, just like that. Damn it! I shouted as the realization hit me. The other ones. I looked over to where they were, frantically, and just like the other guy, each one of them was being pulled into one of those black voids. All I got to see was the void disappearing, the goons along with them. God damn it! I shouted furiously, slamming my fist into the ground. I took out 4 of those bastards. I should have been able to get their symbiotes. But now they're gone. Damn it! How did he even know where they were? That they won. That I won. That they needed to be airlifted out, so to speak. And then it hit me. The cameras. As I looked out into the crowd, I could still see them. Reporters holding cameras. This whole scene going out on live news. Those assholes. They've been watching the news just like everyone else. So when their guys lost, they grabbed them, Shit. Just my freaking luck. That means I'm gonna have to fight him again. The same tricks won't work more than once. At least not on anyone smart. The next time we go a few rounds, this could end up very differently. As I sat there, kneeled to the ground, the knuckles of my armor buried into the concrete, completely pissed that all four of them managed to get an escape hatch. Goddamn portal bastard. When I was on the roof, I should have taken him out first. That ability of his is far too freaking useful. It's an emergency escape for every one of those assholes. In and out whenever they want. The next time I see him, he goes first. As I struggled to pick myself up, my legs still barely wanting to carry me, the crowd was still cheering, even with the disappearance of those four thugs. And they seemed to be overjoyed. And at that point, I began to be approached by a few police officers. For a moment I worried they might be trying to cuff me, bring me in. But they had their guns holstered, at least for the time being. Are you alright? They said, looking at me. It looks like you could use some medical attention. There's an ambulance over here. We could help you out. It definitely looks like you need it. As I looked down, I could see a fair amount of blood staining my armor. Looks like I coughed up quite a freaking bit. But that's not something that I'm going to have to go to an ambulance for. Super healing, after all. Advantages of having a symbiote. No, I replied. Thanks for the offer, but I'll be fine. I'm just pissed off that those others got away. That means I only managed to catch one of them. The guy with the pink hair, upstairs. You had about 4 SWAT guys up there, so they should have him in custody. But you should probably be careful. He's gonna start slowly losing his abilities, but he's still gonna have them for a little while. So when he regains consciousness, he might try to make a break for it. You need to have him guarded. Yeah, they said. Thanks for the heads up. Look, we're supposed to take you in, but just between us, you don't have to let anyone else know about this conversation. If you, take off now, we'll just go ahead and claim we couldn't stop you, the cop said, rubbing the back of his neck and looking a little bit ashamed of himself, like he wasn't proud that he was having to act like he actually wanted to catch me. But I didn't exactly have the grace to start questioning whether or not cops should allow superheroes, and he was giving me an opportunity. So in the moment, I took it. I started running off as fast as I could, seeing a small gap where the crowd had thinned out. I took a massive leap over it, landing with a roll on the other side and continuing to run, beginning to form that skateboard again. And very shortly, I had rolled right to freedom, leaving the crowds and the entire event behind me. I spent some time moving around, making my way different directions through the city, trying to find a nice inconspicuous place to change out of my costume, so to speak. I ended up making a big circle back to my house and made it almost all the way there before deciding to switch out of my costume. Normally it was important not to show myself ending up in this general area, but as my clothes were stained with my own blood, being seen walking around like that, especially after my clothes were in view in front of a bunch of news cameras, I didn't think it'd be a good idea. But eventually, I made it home.